Back again for another video. Sorry for my long departure, but I had a few things that I needed to make sure that I mastered in school before I continued to devote my time to other responsibilities, such as this one, prioritization. But here I am, nonetheless. I appreciate all of my loyal listeners, no matter how small the crowd I may have is. I do appreciate you. I have a bunch of topics, because in between the time of my last video and this video, I've still created some sort of content. It just has not been published yet, because I want to do other things with it, the production, right? But anyways, today's topic will be about society giving her credit. The credit that society gave her. Let's talk about what credit is for a little bit. Well, of course, I like to consult the layman's terms, the technical terms, rather, to start my videos when it comes to defining something. Here on Google, it says credit, the ability of a customer to obtain goods or services before payment based on the trust that the payment will be made in the future. Number 2 is an entry recording a sum received listed on the right hand side or column of an account. So obviously that one doesn't apply to what I'm talking about here. We'll just go with the first one. I'll repeat it again. The ability of a customer to obtain goods or services before payment based on the trust that the payment will be made in the future. That is the definition of credit. Now, what do I mean by when society gave her credit? Well, we can look at that in several ways. Credit, when you usually give someone credit, you give them a just due based upon certain circumstances. For instance, if someone has a good point about something, you would say, in a nuanced kind of way, well, I'll give you credit for that. You know what I mean? Or you can say, this person is very credible. It's usually based upon past tense when we use it in those terms. But what I'm talking about here is kind of based on past tense, but not really with where I'm going. But let's just go with the original definition. That is credit based upon worthiness, to purchase something. Now, why would society give a woman credit? And credit for what, might you ask? Well, when society gives a woman credit, this is how we see it oftentimes. That society, well, this is how we should see it anyways. I can't speak for everyone, of course. Society is saying that you should try and try again. And you never know which one of these women may be a suitable mate for you. This is society saying that women are generally credible. We all know that's not the case because we can see the constant decline of our own society in regards to male and female relationships and relations. We can see that. So why would society give women the credit of saying that? Because we don't really hear this when it comes to women talking about men. I mean, they say it to themselves because women are the first ones to lie to themselves, of course. I'm the one who coined that. But anyways, society really doesn't tell women, keep, no matter how many men you run across that are crap, there's one out there for you. Society tells women the complete opposite, that before they even meet a man, they're all crap. Isn't that ironic? Society gives the most credible people, probably, when it comes to relationships. I'm just speaking from my point of view. This is not, me blanketing people that I don't know. But society doesn't give, in my eyes, the most credible people the credit, whereas they give the credit to the least credible people. Why? Because what are women? They're consumers. So therefore you give them credit, right? Because they expend more, they burn more energy, they create revenue where there should be none, right? Because there's constant influx of incoming, outgoing. So to give women credit is advantageous for those who gave the credit in the first place, because they know they're going to use it up, max it out, and probably exceed it, right? And this is no different than with men, because society gives women the credit, but the credit for whom and to whom? Because if I go to a store, right? Pretty sure you've seen this, right? Let's say I go to, I don't know, Macy's or something like that. They always ask me if I want a credit card, and I say no. And they say, cool. And I frequently tell them, can I use it at other places? And they say, no, it's just only valid here at our store. So they're only going to give me credit for their individual store, not credit for, if I want to purchase gas or food or whatever the case may be, just at their store. So when society gives credit, they're giving women credit in regards to this topic, specifically in men's store. You are the seller of a product. I've said this many times. We've said this many times in the Manosphere. We've said this over and over, that you are the prize. And therefore, if you are the prize, you are a product, meaning that you're already created in something that is valuable. You are not producing yourself. You have value already. I mean, you can increase on your value, most definitely, but you have inherent value. Why? Because we all live in a physical world, and men are in charge of the physical world. So that gives you inherent value in regards to the physical world, of course. I mean, there are several other areas, of course, but this is where we dominate. This is where we are most valuable. You're born with the inherent leadership, the inherent foresight, the inherent, ability to construct. That's valuable, because without it, there would be no society. We see this all the time. I mean, if we go back to the philosophical, esoteric, understanding of empirical truths, I know that's a lot, right? Of empirical truths, we understand that the darkness is not the creator. It is the light that is the creator, right? It is the light that which all matter is formed. Well, which all matter was formed from. Yes, the light came from the darkness, of course. It bore itself out. But past that point, darkness was only being used as a material, because we have to have something to shape the light, right? To form around the light in order to make the contrast between light and dark. But it is being used as a material at that point in time. But don't want to get too far off on it. When it comes to the store that you have, the value that you have, you are the builder. Like I said, the foresight, the construct, that is valuable in a universe that is governed by relativity, that is governed by matter, that is governed by physical properties. To be able to manipulate those physical properties is probably one of the most powerful things that you can have in this universe, this physical universe that we live in. And we see this once again through the creation of society, right? This is how we understand that men are valuable, not because of what they can do per se, but what they are made to be, what they were made to be. That's where your inherent value comes in. So in the value space of your store, society has given women credit to purchase things at your store. How can I say this so confidently? I mean, because let's face it, most men who are of value, who have created themselves to be above the base inherent value of their existence, usually get with women who are not of the same value. Now, I understand that there are no such things as equals in this world. There will never be, never can, never will be, never has been. There's no such thing as an equal. It would break the universe. If you understand the philosophy that I talk about, I've said in several videos already, but I'm not going to reiterate it here. But when it comes to complementary systems. We usually think of a system that has the same, or near the same rather, weight as another. That's how they complement each other. Now, how I gauge this weight is did a woman work as hard as on herself to build herself up in the counterbalance of what you've built yourself up to be? It's the woman that the woman that you've been with, the woman that you're with, and possibly the woman that you will be with. Is she a counterbalance to what you represent here on earth? Not saying that she can counterbalance the amount of creativity and foresight that you can, but counterbalance means opposite, meaning that one side is this side and the other side is the other side. This is the yin and yang that I'm talking about. Has she worked on herself as much as you worked on yourself in the complementary system in which you both come together and become necessarily equal? Has that happened? Think about it. Any chick that you've dealt with, from your past, or that you may be dealing with now, like I said, think about it. Has this woman worked as hard on creating herself to be the best complement to you as you have worked on yourself to be a complement to her? Has she done that? Probably not. Probably not. The reason why I can say this is because of her ability to pair bond, most likely. Right? And many other things, of course, psychosis and trauma and, dysfunction, the usual. But has she did her job to get rid of these same ills that you may be faced with on the complementary opposite of where you stand? Has she done that? These problems affect us all. It's not a person probably in the United States who doesn't have some level of trauma. Has she done the work that you have done to rid yourself of the trauma? Has she done that? Has she worked years and years tirelessly to make herself into the best person that she could be, as much as you have? Has she done that? No, probably not. So how did she get with you then? How did you end up with this chick, right? Because of the credit. The credit that society gave her to purchase goods at your store. And the goods being your time, your attention, your reciprocity for that credit. But remember the definition of credit again, it's based upon paying in the future, right? This is what we talk about when it comes to men chasing women, that they hope, especially the simps, that they hope that they can get some reciprocity from these chicks by giving of themselves because of the credit. What is she paying with? A lot of men assume that there is a nothing space there, that when you meet a chick, well, if we're going from woman to simp, interactions, when a simp meets a chick, she gives him nothing and he just constantly pursues. It's true in a physical sense, but that's not how credit works. Credit you can't see. What does credit look like? How tall is it? What color is it? What does it smell like? It has no physical properties, right? Credit is just based upon the promise to pay later. And that's what these men are giving their goods up for. The promise to pay later. Right? And this that I am spelling out is simply something that we need to pay attention to as men. This goes back into the valuing oneself. Not only once you recognize the value of yourself, but are you charging up front? These things that I talk about, again, are puzzle pieces. They all go together. Is she paying you with credit? Is she paying you credit? I think if I put it in those terms, it'll be more palatable for men. Instead of saying, charge women up front, because it makes it seem like you're being domineering or that you're being unreasonable. But this isn't unreasonable, because we understand that majority of women have burned out their credit. They don't have a reputation of being honest and upfront and paying what they say they would and honoring the contract, because that is the contract. The unspoken contract is that there is some form of reciprocity here, a one-for-one exchange, and not this credit and you give me what I want exchange. That is the breaking of the contract. The reciprocity is not equal, because women are taking out credit with man after man after man after man. And when are we, as the men who operate the system of goods, going to refuse service? When are we going to kick them out the store? Say your credit is not good here. Because we know that she comes probably with a history of not paying her dues, according to what credit represents. Remember, it is the honor system of taking something now and paying for it later and holding to that. But we can see a lot of women, they like to take now and never pay. That is the breaking of the social contract. This is the reason why we say, oh no, your card is declined here. We're going to need cash for that. Because then we know that we're getting the reciprocity up front for what we offer, which is your light, which is your value, which is your foresight, your leadership, everything else that comes with you. This is the reason why we say, value yourself and charge women appropriately. Because this society that we live in has told women that they have a credit in our store. But we need to push back on that. We need to say, nope, your credit has been declined. Because generation after generation, you have shown us, especially the BW, you have shown us that your credit is untrustworthy. That's just the facts of it. And people would say, well, how can you judge a person's, past, their ancestors upon who they are now? Well, you know how debt works, right? When your parents die, if they're in serious debt, depending on what type of debt it is, it's going to be inherited by you. And that's pretty standard. That's pretty standard, across time and across civilizations. So this isn't nothing new. That the social debt that your ancestors, that your foremothers accrued for you, you have to pay it up. And how you pay it up is by honoring the unspoken contract. But anyways, like, comment, and share. Check me out on Facebook. I will be uploading things to Patreon eventually. Please give me some time. I'm still trying to get this schedule together. I barely know my classes and when I need to go there on time, okay? I have to set reminders. But anyways, as you know it, I have a lot on my plate. But this has been the Wolf in Beta Clothes. May you have a good day. And of course, peace be with you.